Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're tackling a feeling that, well, almost everyone knows. That feeling of being professionally or personally just stuck.
Yeah, stuck. Not necessarily depressed, right? But definitely not firing on all cylinders.
Exactly. It's what the sociologist Corey Keyes called languishing. That's sort of emptiness, stagnation,
Right.
like a general blandness.
Even when things are okay, even when there's opportunity, it's like this subtle gravity pulling us toward being passive, disengaged.
So our mission today,
Is to really dig into the psychology of intention. Because intention, well, it's the skill that acts as the antidote here.
the antidote to drifting.
Right. It moves us from just drifting along to actually designing our lives. Intention is foundational for what we call high performers. It's key to escaping that languishing state.
And let's be really clear about high performance, because
Yeah.
it's not about, keeping up with the Joneses or some crazy benchmark.
No, not at all. The sources define it simply as the ability to do subjectively hard things. Subjectively hard. So that could be running a marathon, sure, but it could also be finally getting over a lifelong fear, like driving.
Exactly. It's not about comparison. It's about your own agency regaining that control.
Got it.
And maybe the single biggest takeaway from all the research is this: the core ingredients of intention, willpower, curiosity, integrity, attention, and habits, they are not fixed traits.
Not something you're just born with?
Absolutely not. They are highly trainable. Think of them like a muscle. If you practice, you can genuinely get better at executing on what you actually want.
Okay, so let's unpack this being stuck feeling first.
Mm.
Our sources point to something interesting. Modern convenience and over-specialization,
Yeah, we delegated the boring stuff, the mundane tasks.
which sounds great,
But in doing that, we kind of accidentally delegated our agency too. We outsourced the complexity,
and ended up where? Limitless options on the surface?
but frustratingly, no real choices. It feels like we're just picking from a pre-approved menu, and the ways people react to feeling that lack of control.
It's fascinating. You see it in things like Bafusing Aye.
The revenge bedtime procrastination
Yeah.
for Chinese, right?
Yeah. Doing something you know is self-destructive, like doom scrolling for hours instead of sleeping.
Just to feel like you're clawing back some freedom, some control over your time after a long day of obligation.
Totally. I know exactly what that feels like. It's those 2 hours of scrolling you tell yourself, I earned this, even though you absolutely pay for it the next morning.
That behavior is such a clear snapshot of what happens when we feel like NPCs, non-playable characters.
Just following a script.
Right. And becoming a main character, like, in that movie Free Guy, it means actively choosing to override that default programming, exercising that basic human need to decide our own path.
Makes sense.
And to really get the difference between just following along and actively choosing, we can look at I intentions versus we intentions.
Okay, what's the difference there? I intentions are purely individual. Think of picnickers when it starts raining. They all run for cover, right? Their actions look similar, but each person is driven by their own self-interest. I need to get dry.
Okay, independent goals.
Exactly. Now, we intentions, or shared intentions, that's like a dance troupe performing a synchronized routine. It's deliberate collaboration toward a common goal.
Shared intentions can achieve amazing things, obviously, building the Great Wall you mentioned. But there's a catch.
A serious one. The sources warn that pursuing these big we goals often means sacrificing personal choice. And that can lead down a path to what they call identity fraud.
Identity fraud.
That sounds serious. Is it just picking the wrong job?
It's deeper than that, usually. It's living someone else's dream, maybe your parents', maybe your company's vision, maybe just societal expectations, because it feels easier than figuring out and fighting for your own true intentions.
You sacrifice the I for the we.
Precisely. And that internal conflict, that's what drains our motivation. That's why we feel like we run out of willpower. Okay, so let's talk willpower, because that's the one everyone misunderstands, right?
No.
We're always told it's like a gas tank.
Limited resource runs out.
Yeah, use it up making hard choices in the morning, and by evening, you're toast. Nothing left for the gym or eating healthy.
Well, here's where the research gets really interesting. It's directly challenging that whole depletion idea.
How so?
Studies are suggesting that the decline we feel, that fatigue, isn't necessarily some hard, fixed biological limit. The very idea of willpower depletion might be, at least in part, a sociocultural construct.
Oh, okay. A construct. So you're saying the physical feelings, the brain fog, the sugar cravings, they might be psychosomatic, largely in our heads.
To a significant degree, yeah. There are studies where they prime people to believe willpower is non-limited, that using it actually makes it stronger, like exercise.
What happens?
Those people show better self-control, better goal striving, regardless of the actual physical energy they used. Their belief about their capacity changed their performance.
More than blood sugar levels.
Often, yes. It seems our belief itself matters hugely. It can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you're drained, you act drained.
Okay, that changes everything. If it's trainable, how do we train ourselves to believe in non-limited willpower?
The sources give a couple of really practical methods. The first one is about seeking novelty, using something called Lengerian mindfulness.
Lengerian mindfulness.
Yeah.
Not meditation, right?
No, it's different. It's about actively noticing new things in the present moment, breaking out of mental autopilot.
So like if I'm doing a really boring spreadsheet task,
Instead of zoning out, you intentionally notice something specific and maybe changing, like the way the light shifts on the wall or the tiny variations in the font.
how does that help willpower?
It combats the fatigue illusion. By forcing your attention to engage now, the task feels less monotonous, less draining, less passive. You're actively participating.
Interesting. Okay, what's the second method?
Starting small. This relies on what's called the progress principle.
The progress principle.
Yeah. We're wired to be more sensitive to setbacks than to successes. Failure demotivates us way more than success motivates us.
Okay, so big goals can be risky then.
Right. Small, daily wins are much more powerful for building momentum and belief.
So instead of saying, I'm going to run a marathon and then quitting after a week.
You start by jogging for just, say, 15 seconds.
Yeah,
Seriously.
15 seconds.
It's a victory you absolutely cannot fail at. It's guaranteed. And that tiny win starts building a pattern of success. Your brain likes that. It reinforces the belief, hey, I can do this. My willpower works.
It makes the non-limited idea feel more real.
Exactly. And you see the power of this kind of trained, non-limited mindset in extreme examples, too, like the story of Dashrath Manji.
Oh, the mountain man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His wife died because a mountain blocked the fastest route to the hospital. So he spent, 22 years
22 years carving a path through that mountain.
with just a hammer and chisel. He pushed way, way beyond what any standard depletion model would predict.
So it wasn't just physical endurance.
No. The physical task was insane, yes. But his intention, his connection to his goal, his relationship with himself, that was unbreakable. Willpower is about that inner relationship, not just the outcome.
Wow. Okay, so if willpower is the energy,
Yeah.
we still need to direct it, right? Which brings us to attention.
And you can't really talk about attention without talking about curiosity, too. They're linked.
How so?
Well, think of attention like a spotlight, a narrow beam in the dark. We have to intentionally point that beam to shape our reality.
Otherwise, external forces point it for us.
Precisely. Which is, a massive risk today. Epictetus said it thousands of years ago. You become what you give your attention to.
If you yourself don't choose what thoughts and images you expose yourself to, someone else will. That hits hard.
Doesn't it? It's the perfect description of our phones, our feeds. Every time you open an app, you're choosing what you become for that period.
So how do we fight that? How do we resist the world trying to grab our attentional spotlight, especially when there's this illusion of choice?
Yeah, the illusion of choice. It feels like freedom, but isn't always.
Like your example of the corporate law students. They think they're choosing freely between being a litigator or a transactional lawyer.
But they're all aiming for the same handful of big corporate firms. Their attention has been sort of artificially narrowed. They don't even see the other possibilities, like public interest law or something outside law entirely.
Because their spotlight is stuck on that one path.
Exactly. And that's where curiosity comes in. Curiosity is the engine that pushes us to look outside that narrow spotlight.
It fuels the novelty seeking we talked about with willpower.
Right. If you're curious, you're constantly questioning the default settings, the assumptions that limit your choices. You're widening the beam of your attention.
Okay, so curiosity asks the questions. Attention prioritizes the answers. How does this play out, say, at work?
Well, think about KPIs, key performance indicators. They basically act as a shared attentional spotlight for a whole team or organization.
Everyone's focusing on hitting those numbers.
Right. But what if those metrics, like, say, a mandated 25% jump in utilization, just cranking out more billable hours, what if they clash with an employee's personal value?
Like maybe they value quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Or making a real impact.
Exactly. That disconnect causes massive disengagement. The numbers are pretty shocking.
What were they? 77% globally in 2022.
77% reporting being disengaged. And often it's because leaders have spotlighted metrics that undermine the very values like integrity or collaboration that people actually care about.
Which leads us right into integrity, the next ingredient.
Yeah, integrity is basically acting in alignment with your deeply held, clearly defined values.
And when your actions, maybe driven by that external spotlight like KPIs, clash with your values.
That creates cognitive dissonance, pain, essentially. And that pain can actually be a catalyst. It can force a radical, intentional shift.
Like with Emperor Ashoka, that's a historical example, right?
A powerful one. After conquering Kalinga, the sheer horror of the destruction over 100,000 people killed,
It hit him hard.
it fundamentally shifted his sense of integrity. He just stopped. Stopped the violent expansion, converted to Buddhism, and started ruling based on peace and nonviolence.
A massive intentional shift driven by reconnecting with or maybe discovering a core value.
Exactly. His attentional spotlight shifted from conquest to compassion, and his actions followed.
So Ashoka shows personal integrity on a grand scale. But what about the opposite? When the group undermines integrity?
Ah, you mean groupthink. That's the collective threat. The desire for harmony or consensus just overrides realistic thinking or, frankly, doing the right thing.
Like in the Ash conformity experiments.
Classic example. People literally denied what they were seeing just to go along with the group. What was it, 37% conformity?
Even when the group was obviously wrong about the length of a line.
It shows how powerful that pressure is.
So how do teams fight that? How do you maintain integrity against group pressure?
The key is creating a culture of psychological safety. People need to feel safe to speak up, to disagree, to challenge the status quo without fear of punishment or ridicule.
And more than just safety, you need an active.
An obligation to dissent, as some put it. You need to actively encourage people to raise their hands, to offer different perspectives, even if they might be wrong.
Because the friction is productive.
Absolutely. Research consistently shows that teams with dissenters, teams that wrestle with different viewpoints, make better, more ethical, more robust decisions in the long run.
Okay, so let's try and pull these threads together. We've got willpower, curiosity, attention, integrity.
Right, and they all work together. Intention is this trainable skill that pulls us out of that languishing state. Willpower challenges our perceived limits.
Curiosity makes us look beyond the obvious path.
Integrity clarifies why we're doing what we're doing, our core motivations.
And attention directs our focus where we choose.
Exactly. Building these up helps us become the cause of our own behavior, not just the effect of whatever environment we're in.
But that foundation, willpower, curiosity, integrity, attention, that's not the whole picture, is it? There's the fifth ingredient.
Right. Habits. If intention is the architect's plan, habits are the construction crew that builds the house day by day.
Habits are where intention becomes automatic, embedded in our daily lives.
And this is huge, because think about it. Studies suggest almost 40% of our daily actions are governed by unconscious habits.
40%. That's almost half our waking lives running on autopilot.
It's staggering. And it means if we don't apply intention to consciously build good habits and disrupt the bad ones,
We just drift further away from the person we actually want to be. That revenge bedtime scrolling. Just knowing the trigger, feeling overwhelmed, needing control is the first step to intentionally disrupting that habit.
maybe replacing it with something else, using habit stacking, or just building awareness.
The crucial thing seems to be realizing intention isn't just a vague feeling or a wish.
No, it's a commitment to action.
Okay, so maybe a final thought for people listening.
Yeah, here's something to chew on. This work, building intention, it starts right now. You don't need some huge, dramatic Ashoka moment.
It's not about waiting for an epiphany.
Not at all. Intention is about what you choose to do in the next 5 minutes. So the question for you is, what intentional habit, no matter how tiny, maybe just 15 seconds, will you start building today?
To make sure you're the main character, not the NPC, in your own life story.